Historians agree that Rizal was captured and exiled here on Dapitan until his execution on December 30, 1896. However, during his final hours, things start to get blurry. It was said that before his final moments, Rizal signed a retraction letter that takes back everything he said about the church. As a national hero, Rizal's life has been studied down to the most insignificant of details. Ironically, his death remained controversial due to the ambiguity of circumstances surrounding it. Nevertheless, there are certain issues that are of importance. First, the authenticity of the retraction letter. Second, Rizal's personality and values. Third, the circumstances surrounding his few final hours. And last but not the least, his eventual execution. Rizal's famous first thought-provoking works which sparked the Philippine Revolution, particularly El Metangere and El Filibusterismo, vividly criticized the wrongdoings of the friars in the Catholic Church, both of which led to his imprisonment in Dapitan. He was then transferred to Fort Santiago, where he received numerous visitors including his council, some Spanish officials, his former professors, and several priests with whom he discussed reason and religion. The Archbishop of Manila, Reverend Bernardino Zaleda, recalled, "During that day, although Rizal did not reject the Jesuits, he persisted in his errors contrary to the Catholic faith. However, at the last hour, Rizal abjured in writing his religious errors." The original document of Rizal's retraction was found in the Catholic Hierarchy's archives in Manila by Father Manuel A. Gracia in 1935. Yet despite this apparent documentation, the discovery of the original retraction letter only sparked more debate on the controversial issue. There are two contending parties on the matter, the Rizalist Catholics and the Masonic Rizalists, with the former claiming that Rizal had indeed recanted and died a Catholic, while the latter firmly denies the retraction. The conflict revolves around the authenticity and veracity of the said letter, with the Masons vehemently claiming that it was a forgery. With so many details still under debate, the truth of Rizal's retraction remains elusive to historians of today. We'll start by analyzing the Jesuit narrative first. The primary source of the Rizalist Catholics is centered on the original retraction document. The original letter, found by Father Gracia while sorting through the bundle of documents entitled Masoneria, was verified by Teodoro M. Calao. He claimed that the letter itself was authentic, definite, and final. It was then published in the Philippines Herald under the headline, Rizal Retraction Found. Many Jesuits have claimed to have witnessed Rizal writing the letter firsthand. Particularly, Father Vicente Balaguer claimed that he was the primary correspondent sent by the church to convince Rizal to renounce his statements and writings. The said letter seemed to oppose all of Rizal's previous stance. In fact, it goes exactly opposite from a letter sent by Rizal to his friend Mariano Ponce on the 18th of April 1889, where he criticized the friars for allegedly oppressing the people by spreading terror. Rizal's strong disagreement of the Catholic Church's wrongdoings is evidently seen in his previous writing, as well as correspondences with his previous peers. Thus, the alleged retraction begs the question, did he really retract? If so, why? The answer to this question remains elusive. However, some letters that the Jesuit Antonio Abac sent to his mission superiors may give us some clues regarding this matter. The letter briefly illustrates that Rizal may have recanted in exchange for several conditions, but may also suggest that the retraction was made under circumstances that forced him to do so. Abac states that the retraction was not easy for Rizal and was made under the pressure of danger for his family. Yet despite the presence of these evidences, the retraction still faced several criticisms and doubts, primarily on the authenticity and veracity of the said letter. The statements of the Rizal siblings about his burial rites in particular makes the retraction dubious. Narcisa claimed that Rizal was buried in an unmarked grave in Paco Cemetery with nary of the usual Catholic traditions for tombs. Whew! Trinidad claims that after Rizal's death, they were asked to attend the Mass in honor of him. In exchange, they will hand him over the original retraction letter of Rizal. However, even after the end of the Mass, this promise did not materialize. In fact, it was only 39 years later in 1935 that the original retraction letter was found. Even then, the controversy only worsened. Dr. Rafael Palma questioned the veracity of the retraction letter, as it does not reflect the authentic character and beliefs that was previously exhibited by Rizal. He referred to the document as a pious fraud. Now, this has been a subject of study for Dr. Ricardo Pascual, who compared the original retraction document to his other works, To Mi Ultimo Adios, To My Countrymen, Defensa, and the title page of the book Imitación de Cristo. His analysis noted that there are anomalies in the handwriting slant, Rizal's signature, the inks used, the typeface used for some words, the margin, and how individual letters were formed. All of which led him to believe that the retraction letter was a forgery. Apart from the graphic inconsistencies, there were also dubious elements between the original retraction letter discovered in 1935 and the retraction claimed by the Jesuits before its discovery. As pointed out by a Spanish writer Wenceslao Retana, the word caridad was spelled with a U in the 1935 paper. Father Balaguer's version also omits the word católica, and the third iglesias is preceded by the term misma in the Jesuit text, among other inconsistencies. Before the original retraction document was found in 1935, the only known copies were from the sworn affidavit of Father Balaguer and the copies produced by the Jesuits. Its difference with the original retraction document only further deepens doubts on the authenticity and veracity of the retraction. The biggest blow to the Jesuit narrative, however, is the book of Ildefonso Runes and Mamerto Buenafe, forgery of Rizal's retraction and Josephine's autobiography. The book stated that Roman Roque, a man known for his skills in forgery, copied the retraction letter from a draft provided by the friars after studying Rizal's handwriting. In 1998, Sr. Enrique Montero put his Cuerpo de Vigilancia collection for sale. These were archival documents collected from the descendant of a Spanish general stationed here in the Philippines. The Cuerpo de Vigilancia was a Spanish government intelligence unit headed by Federico Moreno. The report made by Moreno made a big difference on Rizal's retraction as it claimed the existence of the retraction letter, but refuted the claim of the Jesuits. On the report dated December 30, 1896, it was revealed that instead of Father Balaguer, it was Father Villaclara who was with Rizal handling a retraction document. This means that the affidavit rendered by Father Balaguer can only be considered as a secondary source. However, Moreno's report on Rizal's last hours also touched upon details supporting the Jesuit narrative. According to the report, Rizal has indeed exhibited his Catholic faith before his death, praying before the altar and reciting the acts of faith, hope, and charity repeatedly, as well as the prayers for the departing soul. It also states that Rizal's family and lover visited on the morning of the 30th, as well as confirming that nuptials between the two were conducted in articulo mortis. It was also stated that Rizal did sign a document he has written before his death, which Moreno suspects as the retraction. Moments before his death was also a detailed description of how he heard Mass, confessed the Father March, and received communion. In the end, there is still no clear distinction whether Rizal recanted or not. But then again, we ask ourselves, does it really matter? More than the narrative of Rizal's life, I think it's more important to look at the values that he awakened for the Filipino people. In his final moment, not only has he ignited our conviction to rise, but also made us inherit his legacy, the legacy of stubborn resistance and a heart that burns for its people.